Hello BookTube, it's Ben here from the History Fella channel again. Here's today with this week's weekly reads video. I think this is number 11. Basically, I let you know what I've been reading this week and then what I'm planning on reading next week. But actually this morning, I wasn't expecting this. I had a book come, so I'll show you that. Might as well, so if you want to do, make it wait for another book haul video. But the book I got this morning is A Forgotten Front. Let me just get rid of the shine for you. A Forgotten Front, Florida during the Civil War era. And this is edited by Seth A. Wheats and Jonathan C. Shepard. I'll give you the little blurb on the back. A Forgotten Front, Florida during the Civil War era provides a much needed overview of the Civil War in Florida. Provides an insight into the commonly neglected area of the Civil War historiography. The essays in this volume examine Florida's most significant military engagements and the guerrilla warfare that was necessitated by the occupied coastline. Contributors look at the political underpinnings of the conflict as it is played out in the state, beginning with the decade prior to the outbreak of the war, through secession and wartime leadership, and examine the period through the lens of race, slavery, women, religion, ethnicity, and historical memory. Which to me, if you're hopefully if you're a US Civil War fan, it'll seem interesting to you, a collection of essays specifically to do with the Florida area. I'd actually forgotten about this book because sometimes I'll go through the university press websites and offer to review certain books do that through my YouTube channel because I'm kind of classed as media. So but actually I think I was asked to review this copy about 3 or 4 months ago and completely forgot all about it, and it's turned up this morning. But it looks really good and really interesting, so I've kind of got that since it arrived. I've got that Civil War bug about me. I'm really looking forward to reading this. So that came this morning. The Forgotten Front. It's from the University of Alabama Press, and as usual these books never have a price on. I'm thinking it was something like $25, but don't quote me on that. Right, what I've been reading this week. I have been reading this one here from Pen and Sword Books called DDay, Arnhem and the Rhine. A glider pilot's memoir by Robert F. Ashby, who's the actual pilot. It's £20, available from Pen and Sword Books, and I shall leave a link to all these books below this video. So if you're interested in any of them, please feel free to follow the links. This book, basically, it's a bit like a diary of this man who's serving as a glider pilot in the RAF, involved in Operation Market Garden, and basically it was his job to fly the glider, obviously, which would have been full of troops. They'd all then jump out over Belgium and Holland, and then they would then make their way towards Holland and try and take the bridges, which was the plan of Operation Market Garden, which didn't actually succeed in the end because they jumped out, and it turned out that there was a German division of armoured vehicles nearby, and kind of they were more or less held hostage in the middle of Holland as they tried taking these bridges, and it's his story. He actually got back to Britain and wasn't involved in the actual hostage situation, but it's a really good book because he was obviously involved in D-Day as well, in getting troops over there, and at Arnhem and during Operation Market Garden and the Rhine. And it's quite an honest book and quite a frank book. It's really interesting, some decent pictures in it. And I think what was really good about it, you don't often hear about people in his position. The actual glider pilots, I've never read a book by a glider pilot before. And it was just interesting to see his point of view of how he saw it going, and him making it back to England eventually, but still being part of the RAF and having to do sort of jobs that involved a lot of fear. But anyway, that was D-Day, Arnhem and the Rhine, a glider pilot's memoir by Robert F. Ashby. Now then, the other book I've been reading, and I've forgotten the title, I do apologise, but I shall try and remember it for next week because I've got it on Kindle. And I've left my Kindle in my bedroom, and it's about a book about the 80s, 1980s in Britain, and basically looks at the social issues and political issues, what went on throughout the decade, year by year. It's kind of, I'm quite into 60s, 70s and 80s history at the moment. I just find it interesting, and some of the things they talk about are actually things that you remember happening at the time, so it's kind of good to see how history's been told when you've been through it yourself. But I'm reading that at the moment on my Kindle. It's really interesting. Makes quite a difference to read modern day history sort of thing, rather than going back 100, 200 years ago. And basically reading how someone's portraying history when you've experienced it or went through it yourself. But anyway, I shall remember to bring the title and the cover of that book next week. Now then, you might remember a couple of weeks ago I mentioned that it was my birthday and I'd ordered a couple of books. Now typically Amazon used the Royal Mail to send the post. They then lost the books, so I've been having to search around the county trying to find them, and eventually I did find them, and I've eventually got hold of them. So I thought I'd show them to you. I got When the Lights Went Out, What Really Happened in Britain in the 70s, written by Andy Beckett, published by Faber and Faber. A couple of quotes on the back, on the front are beautifully written and hugely entertaining. That's from the Daily Telegraph. And Nick Hornby says, brilliantly researched, wise, illuminating and important. In this riveting account of the most crucial and controversial period in modern British history, Andy Beckett travels the country, interviews the key figures and undertakes forensic archival research to discover the true story of the decade, from Thatcherites to hippie anarchists, strikers to secret strike breakers. He delivers his story with the vividness and dramatic tension of a novel. And I was kind of halfway through this, but it's really kind of really interesting. We have an image in this country of what Britain was like in the 70s, and it's always, the Labour Party were in, everyone was striking, there was no electricity, no one was collecting the bins, it was kind of turmoil, everyone was supposedly in unemployment, everything, it seems, was bad in the 70s, and that's kind of the image that kind of rolls on through society and that sort of thing, and what we're all told at school and that. But actually when you read the book, things are a lot different. So I'm enjoying this one quite a bit, and that's called When the Lights Went Out by Andy Beckett. And the other book that I ordered, which I have yet to start, is a biography, a biography of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, The Privileged Life and Radical Presidency of FDR. It says on the front, a national bestseller, traitor to his class, a Pulitzer Prize finalist, and written by H.W. Brands. Now, I read one of H.W. Brands' books last year sometime and found it really interesting. So I've specifically picked up this book, which is a nice chunky one. What did I read? I'll try and find it. Ah, there it is. I read his Dreams of El Dorado book about the American West, and I found that really interesting because he didn't kind of concentrate on the usual stuff. He went more for individual people and how it affected them, and it was quite interesting that he was talking about things that I'd not really heard about before. So I'm hoping this book on FDR is just as good. But when I eventually get through that, I'll do a book review and let you know how it was. Other than that, that's kind of the end of the weekly reads video. So thank you very much for watching. Just a couple of things before I go. If you'd like to support the channel, I would like to do more things with it. So any support would be good. If you can't afford to, then you don't have to, don't worry. You can support me at buymeacoffee.com. It's written like that, www.buymeacoffee.com/thehistoryfella, and just make a donation. All it costs is I think it's a coffee a month or something like that. Any donations are more than welcome, and I shall be extremely grateful. If you've enjoyed the video or found it interesting, please feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you've got any comments about any of the books or anything really, I mean, I'll happily reply to anyone. You can chat or put anything you want in the comment section down below this video, so please feel free to do so. The links to these books will be in the description below as well, and if you haven't already subscribed, then please feel free to do so. So I shall be back, hopefully. I'll try and do another couple of videos over the weekend or the beginning of next week. So thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and if you're on holiday, enjoy that. If you're not, my commiserations. But thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Take care.